there, Heartmind fans and friends. I'm so glad to see you. And I am in the midst of transition. I travel between California and Tasmania, and I'm on my way to Hobart, Tasmania. But before I go, I'm going to sit down and have a cuppa, or actually, I've been enjoying standing up lately to talk to you a little bit, get some energy flowing through my body and legs. But I have my cuppa and talk to you about a theme that is often talked about in the wellness community, but especially in yoga, and that theme is balance. I even have this rock to kind of explain what I want to talk about with balance today and how to reshift or shift our mind back to what it actually means. So, again, welcome to this solo episode. I hope it serves you in whatever way that you're receiving it. And I'm going to take a breath for that. Okay. So, yoga is all about balance, really, and it's about balancing energies. I adhere to the five elements as the building blocks of what makes us who we are, and yoga really uses those five elements as the building blocks as well. And whether it's those five elements or the three gunas, which I've talked about on this channel before, these are mother energies that also connect to the elements. They're always trying to help counter, and they're kind of different energies, countering energies that will balance the other energies out. And your mind body system is constantly wanting to find homeostasis and uses these elements to help support the balance, which is pretty cool, and why yoga is so effective in elemental healing energies like Chinese medicine, Ayurveda. These things can be so harmonizing because they are seeking that sense of balance. But the way that I've seen it in our world sometimes, and when I see it as intentions, I kind of pick up these days. This, I believe, was from the 90s. I inherited this from a family member from the 90s. And when we say balance, there's this idea of perfectionism that I feel like in the West that we put on it. And it's also this idea that there's this perfect place to come to and that we're doing it wrong because we're not feeling very balanced. Well, I don't know if that's exactly how we want to think about it, and it's kind of creating these um, weird expectations of ourselves and then perpetuating the shame cycle where we'll continue to be out of balance, basically. And so when I hear balance, I wonder, are people seeking kind of that sense of a life that is not their own, somehow is perfectly moving, countering in harmony? Whereas I believe in this elemental healing space, what it's saying is you're going to go out of balance, but there's things put here that you can trust and you can start to engage with that will help you go back. But your natural tendencies, and in nature, my partner who is a biologist talks about this, in nature, things are naturally out of balance, but there's forces to support going back into balance. And so it's not the out of balance that is wrong. You're not wrong if you're out of balance. It's just that we have to put in some effort and some willpower to start to understand and sometimes surrender into that trust of coming into balance. And maybe that's action and maybe that's inaction that will help us get back into a sense of a center, but knowing that we're going to get back out of that center. And so we're going to have to, again, apply our practices to support us coming back. And in that way, it's a lot more like a surfing rather than kind of a, a summit that we're trying to find with this word or intention of balance. That's really important. So that's the first thing. We need to kind of look at and shift how we think about this intention of wanting to be balanced. It's a great intention, but oftentimes it's coming from a place where I'm wrong or I am not, that scarcity. I don't have harmony. I don't have balance. So I'm going to talk to you about some ways in which yoga asks us to find balance. And one of the seminal poses is very simple, and I'm going to just walk through it today. If you have the bandwidth and can stand and do that, that's fine. If you can't, you can just listen. This pose is equilibrium pose, sometimes called balance pose, Samasthiti. And it's direct translation, that equilibrium we're trying to find in our energies. So you're standing in your 2 feet, both underneath the hips and about hip distance parallel, so the toes are pointing straight forward. And so you have the sense of being stable with your legs, and then you're bringing your hands to the heart center right in the middle. The elbows and the forearms are aligned, and then the hands press into each other. Some lineages have the fingers in, and some lineages will have the fingers out. I like fingers out, spread, and the thumb nestled into the sternum. And then what you're trying to do with your eyes closed is find equal balanced pressure in both feet. If you know Pada Bandha, you're pressing into the lock of your feet equally in the right and the left. Then you're wanting to press equally into the right and left hand, so they're both pressing equally. But at the same time you're forcing that pressure, you're finding equal pressure in both hands and feet, and then also receiving and relaxation, or some space. So it's not just all push, it's also receiving. And so you're receiving the push from the right hand into the left, you're receiving the push from the left hand into the right, you're receiving the push against the ground back up into your spine. So you have this receiving from the earth in your feet. And you're finding a sense of balance left to right and up and down. So your crown is growing and you're equally drawing up towards the sky as you're pushing down into the earth. Good. And just that moment, I feel the sense of centering and deep connection and starting to bring my energies into a homeostasis. Pretty amazing. And to go back to the elements and the gunas that I've talked about, sometimes the gunas is seen kind of like this Celtic knot. So each one is kind of feeding each other, and we can see it in circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms, right? We go from waking, and then our energies kind of go back to sleeping. And there's these kind of moments of clarity and lightness. There's these moments of real activity, and then there's moments where we're just needing to rest, right? So sleep would be tamastic, the moments and transitions between awake and asleep. If we're feeling that sense of, again, prana flushing and flowing through our life, then the sattvic times can be right at sunset and sunrise. And then really active in the midday kind of time. And we're cycling through and going through a sense of that balance and that rhythm. And when we're out of balance, we might have trouble sleeping and we feel very active at night. And vice versa, we'd feel very chronic fatigue during the active time. But the idea is that there's a flow, and no one way is wrong, right? So you're not out of balance if you feel tired. You're not out of balance if you feel the tamas, that slowness, that almost even depressive feeling. It's a way that it's creating balance. And we're doing this more and more in the wellness communities, especially holistic wellness communities. We're understanding the depth and need for maybe the slower depression, the depth and need for anxiety, rather than it being a sign of you necessarily being out of balance. Of course, in extremes, it's true. We want to look at that. But they're part of what we do with somatic work is we meet it and say, okay, why is it here though? There's something that's trying to help you or support you and balance you out. And so that's the number one fundamental rule with balance, is that you're trusting the natural balance of your mind-body system, and that it's wanting to find homeostasis. That's the baseline. I trust my system, and that's its purpose, is to seek a homeostasis. If it is not, then something needs to be seen and something needs to be addressed with Western medicine, with consciousness. Yeah. But one of the first steps, even if it's in extreme, is in our work, somatic psycho-spiritual work, is we meet that place that's feeling out of balance in a way that it's trying to create the balance. This is going to be a shorter episode. I really wanted to drop this here. It's something that's been on my mind and something that I talk about all the time with my clients. I invite you to come to Samasthiti at any time you're needing more balance or to check in with your harmony. And I will be dropping more interviews with primarily in this first month, women healers and amazing women teachers, yoga teachers, therapists, practitioners. And I can't wait to share their journey and the word that is really informing their work right now with other women and other practitioners. Travel well. I'm going to end it here. Remember the Samasthiti to check in with your balance. And if you're wondering how yoga will support your inner balance, if you're wondering how to listen to some of these parts of yourself that feel out of balance with kindness and with befriending nature, benevolent nature, I'm here to support you. So reach out, comment, like. If there's someone else that you feel like could really use this short 15-minute, I think it will be less than 15-minute talk around reframing this, please send it. And I hope you travel well. Enjoy your prana.